tell us about how do you feel about becoming our patron?
I feel incredibly honoured, I think is the word, to become patron for Edinburgh College. I had such a brilliant time studying there, as I'm sure you guys are. And it's just so cool to still be involved with the college that I feel like was just the best training I've had as an actor so far.
Brilliant.
Cool. Okay, so we have a couple different questions that we're just going to throw at you. So first of all, we were just wondering if you could go back to the start of your college career and what piece of advice you would sort of like give yourself, maybe that you wish you'd known when you were leaving after the year you did. I don't know what you would say.
If I were to give myself advice when I started college, I would say listen to Scott Johnston way more because he actually knows what he's talking about. Also, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to think, maybe like just I think like have confidence in yourself to put yourself out there, be vulnerable, make bold choices, and take risks. I think just as an actor, those are some good pieces of advice.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Of course.
Cool.
So when you entered the industry and thought, I want to be an actor, did you think that you'd be writing and directing and producing? Is that something you thought about, or was it very much acting?
I think at the beginning I was probably quite focused on acting, even though like when I look back on how I even got into acting, I think it all boils down to when my parents bought me a video camera and I started making little horror films in my house in Inverness with my parents. My dad would always die in them, which is not representative of our relationship. We're fine. But like, yeah, so I just kind of love doing that so much. And now that I'm directing, I think it sort of feels exactly the same as when I was making those horror films, just on a slightly bigger scale. So it's just quite interesting that I've like ended up back there now.
Yeah, done a full circle. Okay, interesting.
And we were just wondering, sometimes when we get in characters like in college, we find it sort of difficult to unwind at the end of the college day. So we're just wondering what kind of tips you would give in terms of you've been in a character for a long time and you're just like, okay, I need to go home now, put my feet up and just chill. Like, what do you do to sort of like get out of the zone?
Yeah, that can be really difficult to just sort of, because you can be quite wired after you've spent, you know, that amount of brain power on this one thing, and it's quite difficult. You need to find whatever regime works for you, I think. But my dad always told me like that I need to do a Winston Churchill after things like that, which means basically during World War II, he, you know, obviously was in a very stressful position, making, you know, some major decisions, and he would always manage to switch off at the end of the night and get a good night's sleep. Obviously, this is not the same. However, the sentiment is to just like find whatever way works for you to like switch off, because it's so important to get enough rest at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. So when you were in college, was there anything that you particularly struggled with in terms of technique? Was there something that you constantly felt like you had to work on?
I mean, yeah, I still feel that way about acting, and I think it's probably quite good to recognise that there's always improvements to be made. What did I struggle with? I don't know, maybe it was like not trusting myself fully, which probably boils down to like an insecurity of my own abilities, which I think everybody has to a certain degree. But like, so I would like over prepare almost because I wasn't trusting myself in the moment, and I could probably get stuck in a very set way of delivering things because I'm too scared to like veer out of that, which is something I've recognized in myself as an actor. And since then, I've like been working on so that I can be more inventive in the moment, and like also just listening to other actors, I think was one of the biggest things that I took from all of that. And one of the best things about being an actor now is reacting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool.
Perfect. We are wondering, so we know that you had sort of a period where you weren't in drama school, and before you were really getting the roles you kind of were aspiring to get. A lot of us, me and Lottie in particular, and the rest of our H&2 class, are about to take that leap out of Scott Johnston's arms and into the world, and we're just wondering what kept you going in the moments where you're like, this is really rough, and what like kept pushing you through the uncertainty of it?
Well, in that period in my life, I worked in a pub in London pulling pints, listening to people do the worst karaoke songs I've ever heard in my life. Drunkenly slurring Elvis songs. And yeah, I did have a few moments where I was like, oh my goodness, like what is going to happen? The uncertainty was very prominent in those moments. But you just have to have self-belief, I think. Seems to be a bit of a theme of all of my answers here. Like,
That's
believe in
good
yourself.
answers though.
These are really good answers. We've got time for one more question
Yeah.
each. So just
Of course.
So your new film, obviously it's about suicide and the suicide rates being quite high in the Highlands. What was the aim of the film? Do you want to raise awareness? Do you want to kind of...
Well, it all came down to the statistic that you've spoken about, which is that the suicide rates in the Highlands of Scotland are significantly higher among young men than the rest of Scotland.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I was so confused because I'm from there and it's an idyllic place to grow up. It's picturesque, it's beautiful, and instantly there was like a contradiction there. And so I just wanted to explore that in the film.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what full effect I wanted to have beyond that, other than I think communication is very important for anybody dealing with any hardships.
Yeah, for sure. I'm from the Scottish Borders as well, and I think it's really interesting how a place that can feel like such a tight-knit community can also have these like reoccurring themes.
I know, it's bizarre.
It's interesting.
well, we're going to have to call it a day there because I know you've got other things to do. So we just say thank you to Karen.
Thank you
you
so
very
much.
We've got one more
Thank
picture to
you.
do.
You too.
Thanks a lot, Karen. We look forward to trying to visit Edinburgh College at some point.
Yes, I'm going to get there.
You will get
I
there.
will.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks.